Olympics, which we are so excited will come to Los Angeles this summer. We also want to remember Eunice Shriver, late great visionary, and her whole family, who brought us about this very special event. With us today is Jeff Carr, and he's no stranger to City Hall. Mr. Carr, welcome back. Mr. Buscaino is with me today, and Mr. Price is in his district, but we'll be here or in spirit, if not here. What we'd like to hear is just an update on what's going on and our engagement of what we could do to help you make this the best Special Olympics ever.
Okay, well, thank you, Councilman LeBonge and Councilman Buscaino. We appreciate the interest that both of you have particularly taken in this event. I was with Councilman Buscaino in San Pedro, who's going to be one of our host towns, which I'll mention in a minute, a couple of weeks ago. But just a general reminder for folks who maybe are listening that the Special Olympics actually will be the largest event held in the city of Los Angeles since the 1984 Olympics. We expect 7,000 athletes and 3,000 coaches to be coming from 177 countries around the world. The Special Olympics movement has really grown. As you mentioned, it was established by Eunice Kennedy Shriver, the sister of President Kennedy. She actually had a sister named Rosemary who was intellectually disabled and had a passion for those with intellectual disabilities. And she, that little movement that started in her backyard that was called Camp Shriver, has grown to a worldwide movement now that has 4.4 million athletes in nearly 180 countries. And last year alone, there were 80,000 Special Olympic competitions held around the world. So it really has become a large movement. It's probably, in terms of size and scale now of the Summer Games, it sits right in between the Olympics and the Paralympics. So it's actually a little bit smaller than the Olympics in terms of numbers of competitors and sports, but it's actually bigger than the Paralympics, which are usually held 3 weeks after the Olympics. So we will actually, the games will be held July 25th through August 2nd of next summer. There will be 25 different sports, and we will have 22 different venues spread throughout mostly the city of Los Angeles and then also with some in Long Beach. We'll have a lot of events in Long Beach, like sailing and kayaking in the old rowing stadium down in Long Beach, and beach volleyball and the triathlon and open water swimming. USC will be an Olympic village for 6,300 athletes and coaches who will be housed there. There'll also be an Olympic festival, Special Olympics festival there with sponsors and entertainment. And then we'll have 3 sports there, track and field, basketball, and aquatics, 3 of our larger sports. Then we're actually turning the South Hall of the Convention Center into an event center. There'll be 6 sports inside the Convention Center. We'll also be using the Lucky Strike for the bowling venue, which will have the hippest bowling venue ever in the history of Special
Lucky
Olympics.
Strike? The one on Highland?
One at LA Live.
LA Live, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, good.
And then Griffith Park, we'll have 2 venues, Griffith Park, Wilson and Harding, golf courses in the Equestrian Center. And then out in the San Fernando Valley, we'll have 7-a-side soccer at the Balboa Sports Complex in Encino. And then UCLA will serve as another Special Olympics athlete village with 3,700 athletes and coaches there. And they'll have 7 sports on campus at UCLA. So it'll be spread out over the city. We'll have a pretty substantial transportation system to help get not only athletes and family members around. We expect 6,000 to 10,000 athlete family members who will be coming from around the world to watch their athletes. We estimate 500,000 spectators will come to Los Angeles. We've actually, in terms of an impact of to the city, we've locked up about 30,000 hotel room nights here in the city of Los Angeles, plus additional rooms in other parts of, like in Long Beach and other areas. The LA Convention Tourism Board did an economic impact study that was done by Micronomics that estimates that it'll generate about $415 million worth of economic activity in the city. So it'll have a significant impact on the economy in the region here. Something called host towns will occur 3 days before the games. The athletes will come in 3 days before opening ceremony, which I failed to mention. Opening ceremony will be held in the historic LA Memorial Coliseum, just like the 1932 and the 84 Olympics.
Who was the architect of the Coliseum?
You told me that, and I didn't write it down.
And what other buildings did he design?
This one.
Very good. Okay, good.
You remember that?
Union Station.
Union Station, yes, sir.
Bullocks Wilshire, and the Peristyle, 256 other buildings, including all 4 at 5th and Spring, right today, John Parkinson.
John Parkinson, that's right. And you are a treasure trove of information about the city.
The official historian.
That's right. So the host towns, actually, they'll come in 3 days before opening ceremonies, all the delegations, and they will actually be then sent to, right now we've got 65 different communities or cities that'll be hosting these delegations throughout Southern California, as far south as San Diego, as far north as San Luis Obispo, and then actually in and around the city of Los Angeles in communities like San Pedro, who are part of the city of LA, but have their own sort of identity and have decided to be a host town who will host some of those athletes there. And that will give the athletes an opportunity to actually acclimate to the time zone before competition begins, gives them a chance to actually do some light training, and then also gives these local communities a chance to show off their own cultural icons, put on events for them, cultural activities, and really show the athletes from around the world the breadth and the diversity of the region of Southern California, and really build grassroots support for the Special Olympics movement here. Our headquarters, we just recently moved. Councilman LeBonge was there to help us move into the bank, U.S. Bank Tower, thanks to the support of OUE, the company that bought that from Singapore. It's a completely pro bono. All the space, 2 floors, the 40th and 41st floors, all the furnishings, no rent, utilities, and the big thing on Bunker Hill, as you would know, is parking, free parking, which is saving us a lot of money. Yeah, we have about 143.
Would you please let us know we can recognize them in a very strong way, because that's a great gift to your organization.
It's a huge gift to us. Yeah,
right.
They've been fantastic.
Mr. Price and I, and Mr. Weston, I'm sure like that.
We also we currently have 143 employees. We will grow to 450 by games time. Just to give you a sense of the scale compared to the 1984 Olympics. The 84 Olympics had about 1,200 employees full-time when they were at full scale. We'll be at 450. They had about a $500 million budget. Ours is about $74 million. So far, we've got a little over $50 million committed, largely from a lot of large corporate sponsors, folks like Coke and Mattel and Deloitte, Toyota, Bank of America, Kaiser, Microsoft, Google. And then we've gotten some great support, pro bono support from local advertisers. I don't know if you have noticed right now, we're in our second flight of advertising. We're up about over 500 billboards and bus stops. We've got radio commercials and television commercials with our theme called Reach Up LA. You'll start seeing some of that around town.
Nice.
And that'll actually triple. It's about $4 million worth of advertising right now that's all been given to us by the various entities. And the great thing has been it's not, it's not like for example, on television, they're not putting our commercial on in the middle of the night at 3 in the morning on NBC. We were the lead-in commercial to Meet the Press about a month ago. Last weekend, it was the lead-in commercial to the CBS Evening News. On last week or 2 weeks ago, when it rained real hard, KABC at 8 o'clock on the morning drive-in, when they were doing the weather and the traffic, they said the weather and traffic brought to you by the 2015 Special Olympics World Games, and then played our radio commercial right after that.
Nice.
There's billboards on major thoroughfares. So it's really been great to see the advertising community really jump in and support this, not just sort of say, yeah, we'll help out in a small way. So it's been fantastic. We've also gotten great support from the federal government. We expect we've gotten a commitment.
What's your operations center? I mean, you're not going to be going up to the 41st floor during the 2 weeks.
No, we're going to put our operations center at the LA Convention Center.
Okay.
We'll have that there. We're also working with LAPD about where we'll have the Unified Command Center. We're still planning that process. As I started to say, we've got great support from the federal government through the Department of Defense. They've committed about $2.6 million, and if the Senate passes the Defense Appropriations Bill today, there's some more money in there that will help us from the federal government. The governor and the legislature committed $5 million to the games that we received in this year's budget, as well as a strong commitment from the California National Guard, who's going to be mobilizing about 500 guardsmen during the games to help us with lots of logistics. And then the county recently committed $1.5 million and also is committed to helping us fill some of our short-term employee needs. Instead of us hiring people for 30 to 90 days, they're going to actually loan us employees for specific positions to allow us to save resources and to give county an opportunity to participate. So the city so far has supported us primarily through the LAPD and LAFD. As you may recall, a motion was passed a few months ago by the council to approve a commander position, a commander level position in LAPD to lead a team that's really taking over our security planning. They've been embedded with us now for almost 2 months. That security planning team is fantastic. They picked a different group of number of officers who really have taken us to another level in terms of our security planning. We also have an LAFD Fire Department Assistant Battalion Chief who's helping us with a lot of the emergency planning as well as the medical transport. So we're grateful for the city for that. And then just, as we talked to Councilman about some ways I think the city could help us moving forward. One would be certainly we'd love to have the city consider putting some money in the 2015 budget, some money to help us with some of the financial costs. The other opportunity would be to do similar to what the county's doing in terms of loaned employees, more like what you're doing with LA Fire Department and LAPD in terms of specific positions that could be embedded in our operations where there's
just ask a question. If there's some who talent, and let's say they are retiring at sometime in June or July or May or something, could their retirement date be, that's a question to be extended, if there's some specific people who may have an interest. So we have a new personnel director, but we could ask that. Let's say someone's planning to retire in April. They retire from the post of the city, but the official retirement date, because we loaned
Sure.
somehow, if that's legal. So that may be something to do.
I think with the way the county's handling, I had a meeting with them this week. They're simply, going to assign employees to report to a different location.
Right.
And they'll have a specific task. And we have a lot of positions. We have about 120 positions that start after May 1st and conclude shortly after the game. So they're anywhere from 30 to 90 days. So that would be fantastic. And then obviously volunteers would be great. We'd love to see the city council members get community members to sign up. We need to recruit 10,000 core volunteers to actually do multiple assignments. We need another, we have a program called Fans in the Stands, which is a fan development program to fill the stands. And then one other option might be to help us with promotional support, possibly through banners on light poles and other ways that the city's, has resources.
Paul, I want you to get motions on all that stuff. Motions on the budget, to ask the budget committee to the CAO to identify funding, and then also ask on the to there be a special action concerning pole banners and identify the places that you want them, because that's the biggest thing, and that there's a no fee permit. Right.
Okay.
We don't even need to go to Public Works. We'll just waive it and get it done. But whatever you want.
Waive it, baby.
So that's the summary I wanted to give you, and certainly want to leave it open for asking questions or other things you would want to
No,
ask.
thank you very much. I see Commander Chow is here, and also see the Chief of Sister Cities, Miss Blanche, is here. Why don't you join at the front table here, Miss Blanche?
And one
as
thing
well.
I did fail to mention, and then I'll let Commander Chow talk more about it, is one other thing that'll be happening is the final leg of the law enforcement torch run. So the torch will actually be coming from Greece. There's actually going to be something called the Unified Run Across America, which it'll start once the torch comes to the United States and is flown here after a ceremony in Greece. There'll be 3 legs of that Unified Run Across America. One will start, I believe, in Miami, one in Washington, D.C., and one in Boston. And those 3 legs will actually make their way across the United States and actually touch every state in the United States. It will conclude here in Los Angeles on July 10th. There'll be a ceremony on Bunker Hill. It's being sponsored by Bank of America. And then the final leg team will actually take the torch, and they will go to Sacramento. And on the 13th of July next summer, they'll kick off the torch run here in California with the governor at the legislature at the Capitol in Sacramento. And then there will be routes that will take place throughout Southern California and Northern California, where it will then culminate, obviously, coming into the opening ceremonies on July 25th.
Nice.
About 2 or 3 days before that, the routes, there'll be 3 different routes in California, will sort of come together here in Los Angeles, and then there'll be the torch run running throughout Southern California, and that's where Commander Chow is actually involved with helping coordinate with LAPD and the Torch Leg Committee, so maybe you could speak to that.
Commander Chow, you could write me a ticket. I made a mistake earlier. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
My brain was moving too fast. Commander Chow, I see Harrietto is here, the Fine Detective Sergeant.
Yes.
What we have to do, Joe, today in council, because Wednesday was heard, is identify a liaison for every council office so the commander could work directly with staff on these routes.
Absolutely, yes.
That's what he needs right now. So I'm going to put my chief of staff involved. I think it's really special. It has to be done right and coordinated right. Also, any kind of mapping that you need, I've talked to the Bureau of Engineering, and they're ready to assist. In addition, could you hand that back to me, Joseph?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. If you could identify the history throughout the world, if you would like. Sorry, excuse me. Take that back with you. That's what I do for the Olympic Games, Summer Games. But we could do that for you here for the World Games,
Okay.
which have taken place the last 40 years around. And I don't know if there's art available or whatever you want.
That would be
But I
fantastic.
think it's very important to do that.
Okay.
Commander Chow, I apologize again. Please,
Okay.
does that ever happen? Does that ever happen?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been called many things.
All right, good. Okay. I call him by the wrong name, man. Do you ever do that as a police officer?
Yes, absolutely.
What happened to you? You got sent down to the
Demoted.
demoted. Very good. Okay. Give us a little report,
All right,
Commander.
council members, thank you. Councilmember Labange, thank you for your support in the final leg. As you know, we're planning to have kind of like a Light Up the City run on July 25th. And what we're planning on doing is having 3 legs of the final leg runners broken up into 3 teams, probably a north leg, a central leg, and probably a south leg. And the idea is to have each council district pick a kind of an iconic historic location to have a short ceremony with the runners and the council member and whoever else they want to invite to say some words and for the community as well as the media. So where we are right now, we're, as council member Labange indicated, we need contacts from each council district so that we can start sending out emails. Once we do that, we'll have our staff from Chief's Community Relations Office start liaison with them and picking locations. Once we pick locations, we can plan the route out, and then we have the motion that was written. Hopefully, we can go to maybe full council in January, and I'd like to bring an athlete and play the Special Olympics World Games video,
Right.
about 5 minutes maybe, just to
Yeah.
kind of put it out there.
Well, I think what I like from this, Mr. Smith, if you could, and Mr. Espinosa, we want to have this in council maybe the second week we get back in January. Does that kind of give everybody things? And then have you at the center table, and maybe the chief executive as well, Mr.
Okay.
Carr, and just say this is where we are. This is exciting. This is very special. So I think that's key, and we're at the right time on that. But on those 3 legs, let me just ask a question. If it's in the south, is it just a civic ceremony there, or are they going to run to Grand? Where's the torch going to ultimately end up? At the Coliseum?
Well, on the Saturday
Right.
night, it'll actually, as part of the opening ceremony presentation, and actually the torch comes into the stadium, and we'll light the torch
Right.
that's at the peristyle there.
Right, yeah.
But the torch will be here 2 or 3 days before that, making rounds in the city. So as Commander Chow mentioned, we've talked about trying to light up the city and get as many places in different parts of the city
Just
those 2 days
I
before.
thought if there was a ceremony, and Mr. Buscaino's at the Vincent Thomas Bridge, and came up and ran through the Watts Towers, and came up and then connected with the one from the valley that comes through the Cahuenga Pass, and the one from the west side, and are they meeting any one spot?
Well, we have talked. I mean, there's lots of discussions.
But are
about
these only Special Olympic runners, or is this also the 84 Games use it as a fundraising effort?
Well, across the United States,
Yeah.
it will be used as a fundraiser. It'll be a combination of law enforcement and
Right.
citizens.
Yeah.
In California, it will only be law enforcement and Special Olympic athletes.
Okay.
The way it's structured is that the law enforcement is really the guardians of the torch, and so they, together with some of our Special Olympics athletes, will actually be a team. They'll have about 130 officers and athletes that will make up teams that will run throughout California for those 2 weeks.
They moved the fountain, up at the Grand Avenue Park. It used to be lower, now it's up higher.
Oh, is that right?
So we drain the water out. You could run to that. I'm just throwing it out.
Sure.
And
Well,
maybe
we've
have
talked
some
about
cauldron
some sort of
that's right
gathering
there
in the Civic Center
at
area.
that moment,
Yeah.
right there. So that's something to think about and look at.
We
So,
talked about on a Friday, the Friday before Saturday's opening ceremonies, maybe someplace in the Civic Center,
Yeah.
sometime in the early afternoon, which
Right.
would make it convenient for
Yeah.
folks.
I just think of memories of the '84 games, where that was the biggest excitement of those carrying the torch and coming through the neighborhood. And I remember Mrs. Ike, who was the wife of Earl Ike, and you don't remember Earl Ike, but Earl Ike had Earl Ike Dodge on Crenshaw. They lived in our neighborhood. And she walked from her house down a hill just to see the torch. And she was about 80 years old at the time, and I just remember that, and we ran all over town. And then in '96, we had the torch, which came through on the centennial of the Olympic Games, the modern games, and there was a lot of activity. So this is a very big, very special event. So all our creative thoughts and power and support should go through to it. Ms. Blanche works with our Sister City program and also with Southern California Sister Cities and et cetera, and we're going to try to get them all geared up and give directions to support their national teams.
That's great.
So that would be there. Ms. Blanche, you want to add anything?
Yeah, we've actually, we did meet with Jeff and we've offered our support, and it would be wonderful to be able to support the Special Olympics.
Can I just ask a technical question?
Yes.
You got stripes there,
I have.
and then you got stripes there. Is that the same sweater? Oh, it's at the end? I thought it was special because of the...
I'm trying to hide.
Yeah. No, nothing. It's good. I got stripes. That was a song by Johnny Cash. Music will be good in part of it, which is going to be exciting.
Yeah,
So,
actually, I will mention our thought right now, our preliminary thinking on the festivals, which will have festivals at both USC and UCLA,
Great.
the quads there. And one idea is to have over the 7 days of festivals, I believe there are 7 regions in the Special Olympics movement around the world, is to have a focus every different day. We'll have different regions of the world that we would focus, and we would bring in food trucks and really celebrate that particular region in those festival areas at USC.
You could just go to Melrose and La Brea. Just go to Pink's. You don't need a food truck there.
Don't
Just
need a
go to
food
Pink's.
truck there.
They make the greatest dog. Here's Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm real excited about bringing the Special Olympics to the city of Los Angeles. 15 years with LAPD. Many of those years I ran the Special Law Enforcement Torch Run with the Special Olympics and the athletes. Very special. And let me say this. The city of Los Angeles is, I would say, the most diverse city in the country, and over 200 languages spoken, many cultures that are represented here. Every single athlete is going to feel at home in the city of Los Angeles. Are these games going to be televised? And who's airing? If so, who's going to be the network that's going to air?
I failed to mention that. Actually, this will be the ESPN is our global media partner.
Right.
They will actually be televised. The opening ceremony will be televised live on ESPN and then distributed in prime time around the world on ESPN 1 or 2.
Good.
Then ESPN actually is doing a series of, they'll have a nightly recap show in prime time on ESPN 1 and 2. They'll probably be doing it out of the ESPN studio at LA Live. And then they're actually already have started traveling around the world. They're actually filming vignettes along the lines of their, anywhere from 2.5 to 5 minute, and then probably about a half a dozen more like 5 to 7 minutes, sort of in your 30 by 30 style, kind of, if you're familiar with ESPN profiles.
Profiles, nice.
And they're going to do about 25 profiles of athletes around the world, and those will probably start airing next month as the ESPN will be doing sort of a road to the World Games leading up to it. So it'll be, the Special Olympics has never had that kind of television exposure in prime time. And then they'll also be doing a ESPN on Saturday on ABC on
Nice.
Saturday,
Nice.
both on August 1st and August 8th as sort of week-long recap. So it's going to get lots of exposure.
Yeah.
How many more host cities do we need? Are we looking for?
We need about 15. We're about at 65 right now. We estimate we need about 80. And the biggest challenge there has been housing, to be perfectly honest with you. We've got lots of, because in terms of cost, as you know, having helped us establish one, getting the housing for 3 nights is the biggest expense. The food cost for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 100 athletes is not that expensive, in the transportation, but housing is the big need. We are going to be housing about, I think Team USA is likely going to be housed at Northridge, and so we have about 500 beds there, and then there'll be different communities throughout LA that those athletes will be a part of those local host towns. So,
I know, Leslie, a week from today, I believe, this time next week, we'll find out if the City of Los Angeles will be chosen as the official U.S. city for
Either
2024.
this week or in early January.
Or early
as I understand.
January, I was
Yes.
told.
Yes.
So I think the Special Olympics next year will act as a test run for 2024. Would you agree?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could argue that if Los Angeles is chosen, which I obviously when is Los Angeles
Los
chosen,
Angeles.
to be the official bid city for the United States, as part of, because there's only 3 brands that are able to use the Olympics, the Olympics itself, the Paralympics, and the Special Olympics. No one else has the rights to use the Olympics. So as part of that, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, guards that pretty closely. And so what that means is that they historically have sent some of their top executives, in fact, usually the president himself of the IOC, has come to the World Games for the Special Olympics. So we would expect that we will have top representatives from the IOC that will attend the games next summer. So one could argue that if we want to be competitive for 2024, if in fact we are the U.S.'s bid city, that we'll have no greater calling card than what next summer to be able to show the world that we can put on a world-class event, as opposed to just hearkening back to '84, which was fantastic, but that was 35 years ago. So
30
years ago. I'm sorry, this year.
I also see Patricia Whalen here in the audience representing Mayor Garcetti's office. And the mayor's on board.
Would you like to
supportive?
Ms.
Ms. Whalen, are you good? Would you like to come and say a few words? You're good?
100% support by Mayor Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I also want to introduce Council General Hadi right here from our great country of Indonesia. Jakarta is his sister city. Ms. Blanche will be escorting him to the council chambers for a special introduction. It's a tough one now, because we're in this room, so forgive me. In the rank of the world, where is Indonesia as far as people?
In terms of size?
Yeah.
Top 10.
Very good, but it's still not the right answer.
4.
Very good. You got it right. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. You got it. A very special. Jakarta's so special. Let's walk down to council and say hello. We do have a public comment card, so we thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this. Sergeant, we'll be going right to council. I do have a public comment card. Mr. Herman.
I would like to thank and congratulate the Schreiber family for this continued accessible program for those who are invited and participating. I'm looking forward to see that the $2.6 million by the Federal Department of Defense will be included in the finances of allowing the city to extend safe, accessible sidewalks and streets throughout this event. I'm bringing to the idea that there is a park in the minority area of Boyle Heights that would love to have some type of event take place there, which is called Hazard Park off the 2400 block of the Soto Corridor. I'm sure that the mayor's office will conclude that he is working diligently to improve the park's access for not just a new restroom for handicap access, but also to improve the sidewalk and street condition on that corridor. So I am looking forward also to implement the idea that we continue to provide John Parkinson's Memorial Coliseum.
All right,
for this special event.
Thank you
for
very
July
much.
25th.
Thank you. That completes your comment.
Pardon me?
That completes your comment.
1 minute, sir?
That's it. Okay, this is item number 1. Now you want a public comment? You want a public comment card?
Yes, sir.
Hold on a second.
So Angelinos, again,
Everyone else can go to council.
I'm
The
saying to you, I'm not here to hamper the idea of the Special Olympics for the July 25th coming event of 2015, but I'm saying to you, let us ask and demand that accessible areas are being accessible, that the safe conditions of handicap ramps and curves are cut out for these events, and let us not detain anyone from full participation, whether or not they are a person with a disability or a person who is hampered by a physical disability, to participate in these sporting events. So I welcome, again, the Special Olympics to Boyle Heights, take part with the constituents in that area who are the large minority and unpopular people with disabilities to this event. Thank you. Have a good morning.
That completes the committee. Thank you, Mr. Espinosa. This meeting is adjourned.